Hello guys, welcome to all of you on my YouTube channel Terraces Vision. In the previous class, we have discussed the basic characteristic of Victorian age, that how an age that is known as the age of doubt, dispute and distractions, in the words of Matthew Arnold in his memorial verses, becomes such attractive, and at the same time it was the age that caused a kind of acrimony among people too. Because why? In this age, Charles Dickens wrote about this age that it was the best of time, it was the worst of time. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. On one hand, there was a rapid industrialization that was bringing development in England, but on other hand, there were many vices prevalent in this age, and they were slum, child labor. Industrialization also was a kind of evil for Victorian society, and people were sending, people were going into prison due to their mounting debts. And finally, the book on the origin of species by Charles Darwin, published in the year 1859, created a havoc in the society of Victorian age. It told that human beings are the result of a gradual evolution. They have not been made by God, as told by Old Testament. And now, due to the publication of this book, there was, a kind of doubt. And doubt was what? Doubt was on the existence of God, that whether God exists or not. If God does not exist, then why we are afraid of anything? No, we will not fear to anyone or anything. And we are now, we have the privilege to do whatever we want. And that's why in the upcoming time we see that the major wars fought in human civilization caused a terrible, or we can say horrible outcome, whether it is Boer War or it is First or Second World War. There we see that many technologies, many other kind of weapons, biological warfare, chemical warfare, nuclear weapon, hydrogen weapon, all these were developed, and humanity now was feeling a kind of shame of this reality of society. Now we saw that how a man or how a human being become so cruel, that when he does not have a feeling of empathy or sympathy towards anyone. Victorian age is famous for its reform bills that were published in the years 1832, first reform bill, 1867, second reform bill, and third reform bill was published in British Parliament in 1884. And these three reform bills provided many liberty to human beings, to the common human beings. But remember the thing that women still were deprived of vote. They did not have freedom. Even their university education was also not available in this age. Writers like Alfred Tennyson, in his famous poem Princess, a medley, advocates the education, university education of women. So this was the age about which Charles Dickens has said that it was the best of time, it was the worst of time. Because on one hand side, there were lots of problems. But on another hand, now a rapid kind of, reformation was also taking place in Victorian society. Not only Darwin's Origin of Species, but two other books also written by, Karl Marx and Fredrick Engels. And the first book is Communist Manifesto that was published in the year 1848. And another book that is known as Das Kapital and is written by Karl Marx also appeared in this age. And these two books talked about, the distinction between a proletariat and a capitalist person, a capitalist society. In these books, they talked about that there's a huge gap between a capitalist and a proletarian, and the proletarian has always been, the capitalist exploited them a lot. They exploited them since eons, since a long time. The proletarian are the victim of this discrimination. So these were the things, and these books brought, a kind of revolution in society. Karl Marx, who is famous for his Marxist theory, told many things, told many hidden truths of society. He talked about surplus value. He talked about forcible overthrow of the existing force. And what are there in the books? I will discuss all these things in this lecture. So before moving towards these books, let's see that what was special in this age and how this age was known as Victorian age. Yes, the beginning of the Victorian period, is marked from 1832 with the passing of Reform Bill, and sometimes from 1837 with ascension of Queen Victoria. Means first, this is dated on, in the year 1832, because in this year, first Reform Bill was introduced, or we can say passed, in British Parliament. And later in 1837, when Queen Victoria ascended the throne, and her, reign, Victoria's reign lasted over 63 years. Before her, there was Queen Elizabeth, who becomes the Queen of England in 1558, and her rule lasted till the year 1603, when she died without having any issue because she was unmarried. And after her, James I, a new dynasty, Stuart dynasty, takes place in England. And later, Stuart dynasty was succeeded by, the family of Germany, Sophia, the name it is. So let's see what else it is there. It is longer than any other monarch of England. It is longer than any other monarch of England. The Church of England faced a crisis as people were divided along the high and low lines. So high means these were the people who in their worship adopted the concept of Roman Catholicism, and low lines were those peoples who in their worship adopted the concept of, Protestantism. So Darwinism changes the prevailing views of life. Darwinism means Darwin's theory that human beings are the result of a gradual evolution. They have not been made by God as, proclaimed by the Old Testament. The Old Testament of Bible proclaims that human beings have been made by God himself, and his first creation was Adam. But this book created a controversy also, that no, there's no existence of God. We are the result of gradual evolution, and our ancestor is an ape. And what else? Divinity. Now there was a question mark on divinity too. Why? People, raises their concern that whether in reality God has made us or not. And when they got the testimony from science, when they got the testimony from Darwin's theory, they started having doubt on this concept. Doubt. So doubt was of what? Doubt was of the existence of God. And what else? And creation also, with the publication of On the Origin of Species in 1859. So this is a very remarkable book that was published in this year. It is the most influential text of the Victorian age. In this book, Charles Darwin, crumbled away the religious concepts of an intelligent God, intelligent design, and creationism, saying that man is an evolution of an ape, monkey, not any creation of God. He put a question mark on the existence of God, that he said, no, we have not been made by God. He is not, an intelligent person who created everything. What Bible says that God created this entire universe in 6 days. But finally, Darwin's theory put a question mark on this concept. It said that no, there's no any intelligent God. There's no any intelligent design. Human beings are the outcome of gradual evolution. And this book, caused a kind of controversy in this age. His evolutionary doctrine argued that life evolved through a process of natural selection. What is natural selection? Means when human beings are capable to adapt the changing society. How? So before telling this thing, I would like to tell you that earlier human beings were, they used to walk on their, four hands, or we can say feet. If you see any monkey, then you will see that he has 4, limbs, hand and, feet both, and they have hair on his entire body. And they are the skull of these monkeys also are different from human beings. And what is natural selection? Natural selection is the phenomena when you are able to cope up with the changes of the society, and when any species does not have this ability, then it becomes extinct. And this is true in the case of dinosaurs. They could not face the global warming and they died. They became extinct. Sparrows, gorayas, they also are becoming extinct. And now even we see that crows also started have disappearing. They are also no longer seen in the society. There is a famous movie 2.0 by Rajnikant. He is the protagonist, he is the hero of this movie, and we see that there is a person, Akshay Kumar, who tells that the radiations, released by the mobile towers compel them to die because they forget their destination. He is an ornithologist. Ornithologists are the person who, studies about the birds. And finally, Pachirajan, commits suicide and starts taking revenge from human civilization, human society. So here also was a thing that natural selection is a thing that when you are capable to adapt the changes in the society. There were Nilgai, if you would have seen in the villages. So earlier we used to see that they did not used to eat the crops of paddy, wheat or any other crops. But now what we see, they used to eat, the pulses. And what happened later? Now we see that they started eating everything, whatever they could get. And why? Because human beings now do not grow such crops in a vast number. So how would you become alive? How would you remain alive? That's why these Nilgais adapted the changes. Suppose there's a story that there's a forest and there is a river that flows around that forest. And one day the forest got fire. the fire erupts in the forest, and the species, the animals started, running from that forest. Now, who is the animal who will be able to save himself? So certainly the animal who has the capability to swim. Otherwise, all the animals would die through burning in that forest, because they are not able to adapt the change of the society. So human beings are, they become developed and civilized because they had the ability to adapt. Now we have many things due to which we could remain, alive. We have, we have mind, the ultimate gift of nature to us, that we have rationality. We can make scientific theories, and this is the reason of our survival, our natural selection. Such a theory was unacceptable to even scientists. Even scientists did not believe on this theory. Why? Because if all the human beings are the result of gradual evolution, then why we see the monkeys and apes still today? Who are they? Why did it not grow? Why did it not develop? मीन्स कुछ लोगों को कह दिया गया कि तुम्हारा विकास हो जाएगा, तुम इंसान बन जाओगे, और कुछ का विकास नहीं होगा. भाई ये कैसे पॉसिबल है? So that was also, a question mark on this theory. Let's move further. Yes, Darwin created a condition of oscillation in the Victorian people. And what kind of this oscillation was? That they started raising doubts that God is He is not the supreme authority. There is someone else, something else that governs the entire human being. For Darwin was right when they thought with a reason. यानी दिमाग की आप बात सुनेंगे तो डार्विन सही हैं, लेकिन and the Bible was right, बाइबल सही है when they thought with a heart. जब आप कहां से सोच रहे हैं, दिल से आप सोच रहे हैं, तो बाइबल सही है. Emotion. So the Victorians had conflict between head and heart. Head means reason and heart means faith. So this was a conflict between faith and reason. Here, religion and science, spiritualism and materialism, etc. Right? So Alfred Tennyson has written a poem, Break, 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 and this is the introductory poem of his famous poem In Memoriam. And in this poem, he is showing through the medium of pebbles that how materialism is coming in the society, and as materialism is coming, spiritualism itself is withdrawing now. क्योंकि जहां पर भौतिकतावाद की बातें आती हैं, वहां पर ईश्वर का, ठीक है, अध्यात्म की चीजें ऑटोमेटिकली हट ही जाती हैं. So see here, major characteristic of the age. So what are the major characteristic of the age? See here, the age is remarkable for the progress in democratic feeling. And what kind of democratic feeling these were? Because men, or we can say human beings, were now getting the rights that were denied to them since a long time. Many rulers came, Elizabeth, Elizabeth, James, Charles, but nobody provided them rights. Nobody brought the democracy there. Everywhere, the concept of monarchy. Earlier, they were the slaves of, churches. The priests made them full, and now they were maybe, being made full by the kings and queens. But this age was the age where democratic, यानी कि कौन सी लोकतांत्रिक, ठीक है, भावनाएं आ रही हैं. The long struggle of the Anglo-Saxon for personal liberty was settled, and the personal liberty now they got. Now they have the liberty to write anything. They had the liberty, to not confine themselves to any particular thing or object. In this age, we see that many writers came forward who did not have, an elite background. They were travelers. They used to do sea voyages, and now they used all these concepts in writing. So see here, democracy became the established order of the day, and House of Commons means Labour Party. House of Commons, when we talk about Whigs, the parliamentarians, became the ruling power in England. See here, a series of new reformed bill. New reformed bills, 3 reformed bill came in this year. In this age, rapidly extended the suffrage. Suffrage means right to vote. Right to vote. United the people, chose the representative for themselves. ठीक है, और क्या होता है, अब यहां से उनको they got the liberty to choose their representative according to their own choice, because it is an age of democracy. It is an age of popular education. No, democracy brings education with it, of religious tolerance. If you have good education, you are not going to fight on the name of Ram, Rahim, Islam. You know, if you have good education, then you are not going to. वो कहते हैं ना कि जो सच में क्या पढ़ते हैं कुरान शरीफ पाक को, या जो है इधर भगवत गीता, रामायण, रामचरितमानस को, तो वो धर्म के नाम पर लड़ते नहीं है. धर्म के नाम पर वो लड़ते हैं they who are made the fool and are used by the people who use it for their politics. So don't become the part of this, religious tolerance, of growing brotherhood and of profound social unrest. Why profound social unrest? Because some evils were prevailing in this age. Doubt, dispute, all these things, distractions, and in addition to it, I have told you, slum, child labor, industrialization, and what else? People were sent to prison due to their debts, DEBTS. All these things happened in the society. So on one hand side, it was the good time, and on another hand, this was the worst time also. So literature produced during this period reflects the spirit of the age. And what was the spirit of the age? The spirit is that, the sensitive writers had become very sad due to the publication of this book, because it, wiped away the religious feeling of people. And the writers like Matthew Arnold, Alfred Tennyson became so pessimistic in their poems that they told that it was a time, there used to be a time when religion used to cover the people. There's a famous poem, what is the name of the poem? Dover Beach, where Matthew Arnold says that, ah, love, let us be true. Ah, love, let us be true. और क्यों? क्योंकि अब प्यार ही है जो लोगों को बचा सकता है, क्योंकि वो सब बुराइयां बताते हैं कि आज जो इस समाज की हकीकत है ना, वो क्यों है, ठीक है, और वो एक टाइम पे नहीं थी, और आज जो इस समाज की हकीकत है उसको सोफोक्लिस लॉन्ग अगो, he says that Sophocles long ago heard it on Aegean Sea. यानी कि एजियन समुद्र के किनारे खड़े होकर के सोफोक्लिस ने इस चीज को सुना होगा जो आज मैं यहां इंग्लिश चैनल पे खड़े होकर के सुन रहा हूं. द टर्बिड एब एंड फ्लो ऑफ ह्यूमन मिजरी, ये सब की बातें कि उसने. आगे देखिए, इंग्लैंड हैड बिकम द वर्कशॉप ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, एंड आई हैव टोल्ड यू हाउ, व्हाई, बिकॉज इंग्लैंड हैड एस्टैब्लिश्ड its colonies in entire world, and they used to bring raw materials from these colonies and used to manufacture it in their own country, and ultimately these goods were again sent to sell in those countries which were their colonies. So see here, suddenly one silent female segment, yes, because Tennyson has given the voice of it in his famous poem, The Princess of Medley, that they also must be allowed to gain university education. So see here, of society raised their voices. The novel became the dominant form of literature. So the novel became the dominant form of literature, but this age has many different poets also. Alfred Tennyson, Robert Browning, Matthew Arnold. There were many famous poets in this age, and they wrote one of the most beautiful poems of English literature. What else is here? Yes, now we are going to talk about reform bills. So please mind, you have to pay attention on this topic. The first reform bill was passed in 1832. Old borough. See that what boroughs are? Boroughs are the old constituency. कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी का मतलब हम क्या जानते हैं? संसदीय क्षेत्र. और ओल्ड बॉरब्स इनको क्यों कहा जाता था? क्योंकि इनकी स्थिति ऐसी थी कि वहां पर क्या होता था, मान लीजिए एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी ये है, हम मान लेते हैं कि ये कौसाम्बी है, कि क्या है? कौसाम्बी है. और उसके बगल में एक और कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी हम मान लेते हैं कि ये फूलपुर है. एग्जाम्पल के तौर पर ये कौसाम्बी है और ये फूलपुर है. तो यहां पे बोरब्स क्या थी? बोरब्स ऐसी कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसीज थी जहां पर पॉपुलेशन ना के बराबर थी. जैसे हम मान लेते हैं कि फूलपुर में जनरेशन क्या है? जनसंख्या 5 लोगों की है, बस मात्र 5 है. और वहीं पर कौसाम्बी में कितने की जनसंख्या है? 500 की. ठीक है, 500 की. तो ये सब बॉरब्स थी. अब यहां से कोई भी मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट अगर खड़ा होता है चुनाव के लिए, तो क्या होगा? वो आसानी से 5 वोटों में से 3 वोट 2 वोट तो कैप्चर कर लेगा और इस तरीके से वो जीत जाएगा. ठीक है. तो पहले रिफॉर्म बिल में क्या होता है कि ऐसी जितनी भी कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसीज थी जहां पर जनसंख्या ना के बराबर थी, इनको खत्म किया गया. ठीक है. ईदर दे वर फिनिश्ड, they were destroyed, or they were added to another one, added to the constituency beside it. या तो इनको खत्म कर दिया गया या इनको क्या किया गया? बगल वाले से जोड़ दिया गया. यानी कौसाम्बी और फूलपुर को हमने एक कर दिया. जनसंख्या जो वहां 5 थी इसको यहां पर ले आए 505, एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी इसको बना दिया गया. तो पहले रिफॉर्म बिल में ये होते हैं ओल्ड बॉरब्स वर अबैंडन्ड, इनको खत्म किया गया, और एडेड टू एडजेसेंट टू अदर, यानी इसको बगल वाले से जोड़ दिया गया. ठीक है. और जहां जहां पर वहां पे क्या था? रिप्रेजेंटेटिव नहीं था, वहां पर एक नई कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी को भी बनाया गया. मींस द पीपल ऑफ इंग्लैंड नाउ हैड देयर ओन रिप्रेजेंटेटिव एंड बूथ कैप्चरिंग लाइट सिचुएशन वाज आल्सो नॉट इन दिस टाइम ड्यू टू दिस रिफॉर्म बिल. और क्या होता है? वोटिंग का जो अधिकार था वाज एक्सटेंडेड टू दोज मेल्स who owned 10 pounds, यानी 10 पाउंड की संपत्ति जिस इंसान के पास रहेगी, ऐसे लोगों को क्या किया गया? वोट देने के लिए एलिजिबल बनाया गया. आगे देखिए दूसरा रिफॉर्म बिल. वोटिंग वाज एक्सटेंडेड टू वर्किंग क्लास, यानी अब यहां पर वर्किंग क्लास जिसमें कौन से हैं? सोल्जर्स हैं, मर्चेंट्स हैं, ठीक है, कोई और जो है मतलब काम करने वाले हैं, तो उन सारे वोटिंग वाज एक्सटेंडेड टू वर्किंग क्लास. लेकिन किसको? मेन को ही. याद रखिएगा, आदमियों के पास ही वोटिंग राइट है बस अभी तक. क्या? तो वोटिंग एक्सटेंड की जाती है. तीसरा जो रिफॉर्म बिल आता है 1884 में, ऑल मेन अबव 21 ईयर्स, यानी 21 साल के ऊपर के जितने भी मेल हैं उनको वोट देने का अधिकार दिया जाता है. एक्ट ऑफ 1918 के तहत क्या हुआ? विमेन अबव 30 ईयर्स कुड वोट. आप देख सकते हैं कि 1884 के बाद 1918, यानी 24 और 34 साल बाद वो महिलाएं जिनकी उम्र क्या है? 30 साल के ऊपर है, उनको वोट देने का अधिकार मिल रहा है. और 1928 वाले एक्ट के साथ ऑल मेन एंड विमेन अबव 20 ईयर्स कुड वोट, यानी 1928 में ऐसा एक्ट आता है जिसके तहत महिला और पुरुष को एक समान समझा जाता है और वहां पर वोट देने का अधिकार उनको मिलता है. सो वी टॉक अबाउट द डेमोक्रेसी एंड एडवांसमेंट ऑफ इंग्लैंड, बट समवेयर वी सी दैट दिस कंट्री had brought these changes in itself, not बहुत ज्यादा समय नहीं हुआ है, but it developed itself a lot because they worked on their faults, they worked on their mistakes. Their past was a kind of lesson for them and they used it in a very profound manner. So now see what else is important books that greatly influenced the age. So first of all, there is Communist Manifesto. In an interview of UPSC, a question was asked to a candidate that which is the manifesto that is still rigid on the same concept which it talked about in its starting, and the answer was communist manifesto. Communism की बातें, साम्यवाद की बातें, where they talked about the equality among people, लोगों के बीच समानता के बारे में बातें करते हैं. कम्युनिस्ट मैनिफेस्टो, एंड द बुक वाज रिटन बाय कार्ल मार्क्स एंड फ्रेडरिक एंजल्स, एंड दे टॉक अबाउट फोर्सिबल ओवरथ्रो ऑफ ऑल एग्जिस्टिंग सोशल कंडीशंस. जहां पर वो बात करते हैं कि क्या है कि सारे जो सोशल कंडीशंस हैं, ठीक है, उनको हम फोर्सफुली क्या करेंगे, ठीक है, उखाड़ करके फेंक देंगे. एग्जाम्पल के तौर पर प्रोफेसर सरजीत मुखर्जी द्वारा बताई गई बात मैं आपको बता रहा हूं कि मान लेते हैं कि यह जो बोतल है वो एक समाज का रूप है, वो एक सोसाइटी का रूप है, और यहां पर क्या हुआ है, अगर हम पेबल्स को भरें, कंकड़ पत्थरों को भरेंगे, तो क्या होगा, एक के बाद एक पत्थर यहां पे जमना शुरू हो जाएंगे, ठीक है, और यहां पर जो सबसे लास्ट में नीचे पत्थर आया हुआ है वो क्या रहेगा, वो हमेशा ऐसे ही रहने वाला है. यानी समाज में वो तबका जो नीचे हो गया वो हमेशा से ऐसे ही रहने वाला है जब तक कि कोई रेवोल्यूशन नहीं आती है, क्रांति नहीं आती है. तो यहां पे क्या बातें की गई, फोर्सिबल ओवरथ्रो की, कि मान लीजिए आप समानता लाना चाहते हैं तो कैसे ले आएंगे. इन लोगों का क्या मानना था कि आप इस बोतल को क्या करेंगे, तेजी से, ठीक है, हिला करके इसको आप जमीन पर पटक देंगे, और जमीन पे आप पटक देंगे तो जितने भी कंकड़ आपने यहां पर इस बोतल में भरे हुए हैं, बॉटल में, वो सारे के सारे क्या होंगे, जमीन पर बिखर जाएंगे, और इस तरीके से समाज में इक्वलिटी आ जाएगी. ऐसा मेरा मानना नहीं है, ऐसा मानना है किसका, मार्क्स और एंजल्स का. When they talked about the forcible overthrow of all existing social conditions that capitalists have always made fool to common human beings, and they must be overthrown. It was their saying, and what else they say, the socialism यानी समाजवाद जो है will be the dominant philosophy of the world. This will be the dominant philosophy of the world. But Marx has given, some division of society also. Marx has given, ठीक है, सब कभी कभी आपको if you get opportunity then try to check the Marx division of society, and he has divided society on different platform. Like first of all he talks about I did not remember much things, but I'm trying to tell you that first of all he talks about kings, means monarchs, and from monarchs there arose a race that is known as what, barons. From barons there were feudals, or we can put feudals in baron too, and from here there was capitalist, right, capitalist, and from here we have socialist. But Marx has said that each strata of society has its influence on upon the preceding age or preceding society that came before it. Means barons or feudalism will have the impression of kings and monarchs, and what else here, feudalism, if you talk about, then feudalism will have the impact of barons, and capitalist will have the influence of feudalistic society, and socialism will have the effect of capitalism. Socialism will have the effect of capitalism. That's why Marx said that these things had to struggle a lot if you really want to see a change in the society. हम बात तो करते हैं समाजवाद की, लेकिन हम देखते हैं कि क्या हुआ, समाजवाद भी सिमटा हुआ है कुछ लोगों के बीच में. आगे देखते हैं. Yes, Marx another book, Das Kapital, published in the year 1867. Karl Marx, where Karl Marx tells that exploitation of labor's class struggle between capitalist and proletarian. Proletarian means सर्वहारा ग्रुप, सर्वहारा समूह, कैपिटलिस्ट पूंजीवादी समूह. पूंजीवादी समूह। बात करते हैं कि इनके बीच में हमेशा से एक स्ट्रगल रही है, संघर्ष रहा है। द कैपिटलिस्ट capitalists have always exploited the proletarian, but the proletarian had never the courage, to object such kind of atrocities done to them. Why? Because if makes a revolt, if he does a revolt and says that no, I do not work today, then at the same day he is not going to get food in night. So due to this problem, he had to face all the atrocities that are done by capitalists to him, and he did not have a voice. But this, this hatred is in his heart, and someday this, a little spark become, or we can say metamorphosized into a great fire when the revolution took place. And this revolution took place in France against Louis XVI. This revolution took place in where? In the country Russia, where Tsar-Shahi came to an end everywhere. क्या तो ये है ताकत उनकी। उसके बाद बात करते हैं किसकी? सरप्लस वैल्यू की। सरप्लस वैल्यू इज अ काइंड ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स that is used by the businessman. How? Surplus value means total cost. Total cost. Okay. Sorry. Profit raised. Remember. Profit raised minus total cost. Minus total cost. Suppose a businessman makes a shoes, and the profit he raised, okay, on this manufacturing is 3,000 rupees. 3,000 rupees he earned on this product, and the total cost of this, this shoe, the pair of shoes was how much? Maximum it would be of 500, and the profit is 2,500. 2,500. So what it is? It is the surplus value. The labor who manufactured these shoes would get just 100 or 200 rupees on this manufacturing, but the businessman, the industry owner, would get a huge amount of this profit. The labor is manufacturer. He is working. He is working to bring this thing into a kind of to creation. But the ultimate profit goes to the businessman. यानी जो पूरा profit होता है वो businessman को जाता है. Total profit कितना मिला? ठीक है, 3,000 रुपए. कॉस्ट कितनी लागत आई? 500 रुपए. 2500 रुपए उसका सरप्लस वैल्यू होता है. अगर इसमें 100 रुपए 200 रुपए लेबर को दे दिया, तब भी वहां पर उसका 2,000 रुपए तो सरप्लस वैल्यू बना ही है. सो मार्क्स ने कहा कि नहीं, लेबर को उसके ठीक है जो भी प्रॉफिट है उसका भी हिस्सा उसको मिलना चाहिए, एंड दैट इज कॉल्ड सरप्लस वैल्यू. राइट? Survival of the fittest theory. Yes, it's a very famous theory, and first of all it was introduced by Charles Darwin, but later his disciple Herbert Spenser, in his famous book Principles of Biology in 1864, he added natural selection to economy. What is a survival of the fittest? इसका मतलब है कि जो सबसे ज्यादा फिट होगा वही समाज में अपना अस्तित्व बनाए रख पाएगा. एग्जाम्पल मैंने आपको दिया कि जंगल में आग लगती है. अब जंगल में आग लगती है तो क्या होगा कि नदी है, नदी को पार करके भागना है, तो ऐसे जानवर जो क्या करते हैं, तैराकी कर लेते हैं, वही सिर्फ बचेंगे, बाकी सब मारे जाएंगे. जिस तरीके से हम डिफॉरेस्टेशन देख रहे हैं, पेड़ों का कटाव देख रहे हैं, तो वहां पे क्या होगा, जिस दिन सारे पेड़, लंबे जो पेड़ हैं वो कटते जाएंगे, तो सबसे पहले मरने वाला जानवर होगा कौन? जिराफ. क्योंकि उसकी ऊंट क्या सॉरी उसकी गर्दन लंबी है, वो नीचे जो है पेड़ों को खा ही नहीं पाएगा, जिराफ मरेगा. ठीक है, उसके बाद थोड़ा सा और छोटा होगा, ये जो पत्ती खाने वाले जानवर हैं इनकी मौत हो जाएगी. और पत्ती खाने वाले जानवर अगर मर गए तो जो इनका मांस खाने पे जिंदा हैं वो भी क्या हो जाएंगे, वो भी विलुप्त हो जाएंगे। तो ये था डार्विन का अडाप्टेशन की थ्योरी, मैंने आपको बताई ही अभी, नेचुरल सिलेक्शन वाली बातें। और यहां पे हर्बर्ट स्पेंसर ने इस चीज को इकोनॉमी से जोड़ दिया कि एडेड दिस फिनोमेना टू इकोनॉमी, दैट नॉट through other means, but a person has to become strong through his medium of economics too. Yani money matters a lot. If you're not able to cope up with the changes of the society, then you will also extinct, you will also become extinct, and that is the survival of the fittest theory. The other things, the Victorian age is remarkable because of its rapid progress in all the fields, including arts and sciences, and industrial revolution changed the future of England. इन सब ने क्या किया, इंग्लैंड का भविष्य बदल दिया. It is an age of prose, newspapers, magazines, and modern novels all appeared in this age. It is an age of realism, as the literature of the age was packed with a definite moral purpose. ठीक है, एक निश्चित नैतिक उद्देश्य के तहत इसको बनाया गया था. The age is charged with doubt and pessimism. I have told you about this. So let's see here some other points. Who is the representative poet of this age? So he is Alfred Tennyson, because in his poems he has told about the changes that were taking place in Victorian society. And now representative novelist is Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens in his novels portrayed the characteristic of Victorian age. Most pessimistic poet Matthew Arnold is very pessimistic poet. In his poems he has depicted the several phenomena that were taking place in the society. Most optimistic poet Robert Browning, he was the most optimistic poet. He has no any fear of anything. He has written many. He is famous for his dramatic monologues. He is famous for his dramatic monologues. Dramatic monologues. And I will teach you all the monologues of Robert Browning when I will teach you the text. Most pessimist novelist is Thomas Hardy. Philosophy of life क्या है इनकी? Immanent will. Immanent will. What it is, I will tell you when I come on Thomas Hardy. And concept of Millerism. Millerism, what it is, I have told you that human beings can change the world if they want. So this was all about the basic concepts regarding the Victorian age. Victorian age that lasted till 63 years if we check it according the reign of Queen Victoria. So it was the age where major form of literature, or we can say many poems and novels were written during this age. And this age is one of the most remarkable ages of English literature, because the poets and novelists of the age changed the phenomena of writing. They presented different genre, like dramatic monologue by Robert Browning. Robert Browning has presented the masterpieces of dramatic monologue in this age. So in my next lecture, I will start, the upcoming authors that were prevalent in this age. So did you like this video or not? Kindly make your comments and like the video. See you in my next lecture. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.